My name is Amanda, and I am a 34-year-old administrative staff. Ever since I graduated from college, I've dedicated my life to my career. Initially, I joined a major company where I committed a decade to hard work and continuous self-improvement, earning several promotions along the way. This dedication paid off, and I am now a division head at a relatively young age. I am fortunate to have a boss who constantly provides invaluable advice and leads a team of highly motivated and talented individuals. My professional life has been incredibly rewarding and fulfilling. However, my personal life didn't follow the same successful trajectory. Since a brief relationship during my student days, I hadn't dated due to my intense focus on work. Concerned about this imbalance, a close friend arranged a dinner party to help me socialize. That evening I met Peter. He was a kind-hearted person with a warm smile and a very approachable demeanor. Being the same age, we discovered many shared interests and enjoyed engaging in conversations. We quickly became friends, exchanged contact details, and started spending more time together, just the two of us. After a while, Peter expressed his feelings for me, and we began dating. Our relationship blossomed, and eventually he proposed. I was overjoyed to marry someone I love so deeply. Following our wedding, I visited his parents' home to formally introduce myself. They were incredibly welcoming and warm, mirroring the kindness I had come to know in Peter. "Amanda, it's wonderful to meet you. I can't believe such a wonderful person has become Peter's bride," his mother exclaimed tearfully. "We are so proud of him for bringing such a fantastic woman into our family," his father added, while Peter playfully cautioned them, saying, "Hey, Mom and Dad, stop it, you're embarrassing Amanda." But they just laughed it off, saying it was all in good spirits. Peter's parents were as friendly and easygoing as he was. During our visit, they seemed impressed by my career accomplishments. "Amanda works for a major company, doesn't she?" "Oh, wow, that's great. It's cool to see a woman who can work so hard. Will you continue working after marriage?" They inquired, showing genuine interest in my life choices. Their open and accepting nature made me feel right at home, confirming I had indeed found my new family. When we decided to get married, I knew I wanted to continue working. My job at a reputable company was something I took pride in, and thankfully my future mother-in-law supported my decision. Unlike the experiences shared by some of my friends where they were encouraged to quit their jobs to support their husbands full-time, my situation was different. My heart swelled with gratitude and excitement, thinking about the progressive family I was joining. After the wedding, my husband moved into my apartment, and we began our new life together as newlyweds. Our days were filled with joy and love, both of us appreciating the time we spent together, me cherishing the moments at home with him, and him welcoming me back from work with a smile. 7 months into our marriage, my husband approached me with a concern. He proposed that we move in with his aging parents who needed more support. Though surprised, I understood his predicament, especially since he was an only child and naturally felt a deep responsibility towards his parents. Unlike my situation where my brother and his wife lived with my parents, my husband had no such support for his own. He suggested renovating his parents' house to accommodate 2 families under one roof. This meant we could have our private space while being close enough to care for his parents. It struck me as a thoughtful and practical solution. The idea of living in a beautifully renovated, spacious house yet maintaining our privacy was indeed appealing. The prospect of living with my in-laws seemed less daunting, knowing that we wouldn't be on top of each other all the time. I agreed to the plan, and my husband was overjoyed. His parents, when informed, were thrilled by the arrangement. As we discussed the details of the renovation and prepared for this new chapter, I felt a mixture of excitement and relief. It was a significant step, but knowing we were making the right decisions for our family's well-being made everything feel right. The support and kindness from my in-laws reassured me that we were on the path to creating a harmonious extended family life. When my in-laws visited us, their warmth and gratitude were palpable, enhancing the already cheerful atmosphere. Their kindness made me feel comfortable with the idea of merging our households into one. During this visit, my husband and I approached the topic of renovating his parents' house. The estimated cost was around $120,000. However, as we delved into the financial details, my husband hesitated before making an unexpected request. He asked if I could cover the entire cost of the remodeling. Surprised, I pressed for an explanation. He then revealed something even more shocking. His family was in debt, $170,000 in debt. This was the first I had heard of it. Neither during our dating period nor after our marriage had this been mentioned. The revelation took me aback, especially the magnitude of the debt, which was far beyond what I had imagined. He explained that the debt hadn't been overwhelming at first, but had grown over time. Despite his efforts, he couldn't manage to reduce it significantly. His parents, now on a pension, were also unable to contribute much towards repaying it. The financial burden was escalating, understandably. I was both surprised and upset by this sudden disclosure. I found myself in a difficult position, having had no prior knowledge of the financial strain that was part of my new family's life. My husband, looking earnestly at me, made another plea. He asked for my help to pay off his parents' debt, admitting that his salary wasn't sufficient to tackle this alone. He emphasized that renovating the house and living as two families was still crucial, and he hoped to continue with those plans despite the financial strain. He acknowledged the enormity of what he was asking. Effectively, I was being asked to shoulder $250,000 for both the debt and the remodeling. He expressed his commitment to our life together and his desire to support his parents out of love, not obligation. Apologizing for the burden, he promised to repay me gradually over time. This situation left me distressed. I realized that my husband and his parents had no one else to turn to but me. Though it was a challenging moment, it was also a testament to his trust and love for me. I needed time to think about how we could manage our finances together and still support his parents without jeopardizing our future financial stability. The weight of the decision loomed large, as it was not only about money, but also about maintaining the bonds of family and marriage. Feeling somewhat overwhelmed by the situation, I ultimately agreed to take on the financial burden after a sincere discussion with my husband. He had earnestly expressed his gratitude, shaking my hand with a deep sense of relief upon hearing the decision. My in-laws later visited our home to offer their apologies and gratitude. My mother-in-law, moved by the gesture, even shed tears of joy. I resolved to do my best from now on. Despite having some savings, the idea of paying the entire debt at once was daunting. Thus, I decided to pay $350,000 for my savings initially and handle the remainder through installments. When I discussed these plans with my in-laws, they agreed, suggesting I directly transfer the payments to the debt repayment account to avoid any mismanagement. This method seemed more efficient and secure given the large sums involved and would prevent the funds from potentially being mishandled during the transfer process. My husband supported this straightforward approach, which would also save time and reduce the risk of errors in handling money. Once we finalized these plans, I could see the relief wash over my in-laws' faces. Now we don't have to fear the monthly debt collectors that have been haunting us. My father-in-law expressed deeply appreciative. "You should thank Amanda properly," he urged my mother-in-law. "I can't even count how many times I've thanked you." "I can't thank you enough," she replied, expressing profound gratitude. While I was glad to see them relieved and happy, part of me felt uneasy. Their comments made me slightly uncomfortable, as if I were just a financial resource rather than a loved family member. Despite these mixed feelings, my primary motivation remained clear. I wanted to support my husband's family, whom I dearly loved. With these intentions, we proceeded with the house remodeling and completed our two-family home. It turned out to be beautiful and spacious, providing us all with a sense of accomplishment and a new beginning living together. Our daily interactions brought us closer, and seeing my in-laws' content in the environment we had created filled me with a sense of fulfillment. Despite the initial reservations as we settled into our new living arrangement, the joy and gratitude for my in-laws continued to remind me of the positive impact of my decision, reinforcing the bonds within our extended family. My husband's face brightened as he walked through our newly remodeled home. I too was thrilled, especially enjoying the upgraded modern kitchen that made cooking a breeze. The renovations had not only enhanced our living space, but also brought us closer to work, significantly reducing my commute. This newfound extra time was a blessing. I plan to use it to further my studies. Despite these positive changes, a nagging concern shadowed my days. I was diligently working to pay off the large debt we had inherited from my in-laws, yet my husband hadn't contributed financially. He had initially promised to help, but despite this, he hadn't made any payments from his earnings. When I confronted him about his financial contributions, he simply stated that his salary wasn't sufficient to assist in the debt repayment. Curious and a bit skeptical, I asked him to show me his pay stubs to understand our financial standing better, but he refused. I persevered, working tirelessly for a year to reduce the debt. During a family discussion, my in-laws inquired about the progress on the debt repayment. I informed them that we had managed to pay back about $50,000 this year, leaving us with an approximate balance of $110,000. They were astonished by the amount I had managed to clear on my own. "Amanda, that's incredible. At this rate, you could have the entire loan paid off in about 4 years," they exclaimed. Their gratitude and emotional response made the hard work feel worthwhile. However, just a few days later, an unexpected event occurred. I was scheduled to work late, so I informed my husband I'd be home after my usual time. But work wrapped up earlier than expected, and I headed home early, looking forward to a peaceful evening and perhaps surprising my husband with a homemade dinner. But as I opened the door, a familiar sight caught my eye. My in-laws' shoes were by the entrance. Surprised, I realized my mother-in-law and her family must have visited unexpectedly. The situation piqued my curiosity and a mix of emotions as I walked in, not sure what to expect with this sudden family gathering. As I approached the living room, I thought I might find my husband and his parents busy with something. Instead, I heard snippets of a conversation that stopped me cold. "Peter, you were right to marry that woman. You did great. I can't believe you snagged a woman with that much money just because she works for a big company. You played your cards right," one voice said. Then the talk shifted, and I heard mentions of gratitude and manipulation. "You should be more grateful," one voice said. "Oh my, you're one of the ones who racked up that debt," another retorted. They argued about who spent what on horse racing and gambling, all while praising the stroke of luck that brought me into their family for financial salvation. They even joked about discarding me once the debt was cleared. Laughter followed, chilling in its casual cruelty. Frozen by the door, I struggled to process the deception. When I finally gathered myself, I announced my arrival loudly and stepped into view. My husband and in-laws turned to me with smiles, welcoming me warmly as if nothing had happened. "Oh, Amanda, welcome home. Good job. Let's have dinner together later," they chimed, completely oblivious to the turmoil inside me. The warmth of their smiles now seemed sinister, knowing the true sentiment behind them. Throughout the evening, I kept my composure, hiding the storm of emotions raging within. Later, alone in my room, I wept, not just from sadness, but also from a profound sense of betrayal. Over the next few months, I secretly laid the groundwork for a divorce, preparing myself emotionally and financially, still outwardly playing the part of the devoted wife. Finally, when I had everything in place, I revealed to my husband that I had paid off the entire $170,000 debt. His reaction was one of disbelief, not realizing the extent of the resources I had or the resolve I had mustered. "I have quite a bit of money saved up," I said calmly, holding back the tide of emotions. The revelation set the stage for my next steps as I readied myself to start anew, free from deceit and manipulation. Initially, I was cautious about paying off the massive debt in one go, so I began gradually drawing small amounts from my salary and savings. However, once the remaining debt dipped below $120,000, I decided it would be more efficient to clear it all at once. When I explained my plan to my husband and showed him the bank statement proving I had paid $110,000, he struggled to hide his excitement. "Wow, Amanda, thank you. My dads are going to be thrilled about this," he exclaimed, covering his face with his hands in a dramatic show of emotion. Shortly after, my in-laws came over to express their gratitude. "Thank you so much, Amanda. You're like an angel to us," they gushed. If I hadn't overheard their true feelings about me, their words might have filled me with joy. Instead, I was painfully aware of their deceit, and I maintained my role only because I was already preparing for what was to come. A few days later, my husband asked for a serious talk. His expression was grave as he delivered his shocking news. "Amanda, I'm sorry, but you have to leave. I have a new girlfriend, and I'm going to live here with her. You're going to my parents' place," he said, expecting me to be surprised. Confusion clouded my mind. "I don't understand what you mean," I replied, playing into his narrative. "You're just not understanding at all. I don't need you anymore, but since you're a good breadwinner and housekeeper, you can stay here if you want," he said dismissively. As he spoke, the front door swung open, and my in-laws walked in. "Peter, did you finally tell her?" they asked eagerly, almost gleefully. "Yeah, I told her." "I wish I could have seen her face," he replied. "That's how it is. You can stay and do chores for us. Of course, we'll have to charge you rent," they added, revealing their true expectations. This entire scenario unfolded as I had feared based on their earlier candid conversations. Knowing their plans for me didn't make the revelation any less bitter, but it fortified my resolve to act on my escape plan. I had already laid the groundwork for a new beginning, free from their deceit and manipulation. As I navigated these revelations, I prepared to turn my back on this toxic environment for good. My husband's laugh echoed sharply, mocking me as if to underscore how despicable they all were. But I had prepared for this moment more thoroughly than they could imagine. "Well, it's time for all of you to leave," I declared calmly. My in-laws scoffed, rolling their eyes at my audacity. "What are you talking about? Do you think you can manage that?" they challenged me. I smiled a cold, steady smile that I felt all the way to my core. "Actually, I can easily afford the renovation myself, plus I've transferred the house deed into my name. That means I get to decide who stays and who leaves," I stated firmly. The color drained from their faces as the realization dawned on them. The room fell into stunned silence, only to be broken by my husband's retort. "But you've paid off our debt completely. You're the one losing money here. Without that debt, we might have managed to scrape together enough to afford a new place." "True, you lived comfortably while I shouldered your debts," I replied evenly, then dropping the bombshell I added, "But here's the fact. I didn't actually clear the remaining $110,000 of your debt. The money you saw missing from my bank book, I simply moved it to a different account. The debt is still yours to pay." The impact of my words was immediate and devastating. "You mean the debt collectors will start coming again?" My husband stammered, disbelief and fear mingling in his voice. "That's correct," I continued, "and Peter, since you've admitted to having an affair and planning to divorce me for your girlfriend, you'll be paying alimony. And yes, I'll be including your partner in the lawsuit for the affair." Panic flashed across his face. "But she's with me because I own a house and have money. If you charge me alimony, she'll leave me." "I'm not concerned with your romantic troubles," I stated bluntly. "I'm done here. You and your parents have shown your true colors, selfish to the core. I'm severing all ties with you." As they processed the full weight of the situation, I concluded, "And just so you're aware, I've put this house on market. I will also be reclaiming through my lawyer the $80,000 I pay towards your debt." The room was heavy with shock and silence as they absorbed the loss of everything they had taken for granted. My in-laws stood frozen, realizing too late the consequences of their actions. As for me, I was finally free from deceit and manipulation, ready to move forward with my life on my terms. After discovering the depth of deceit I was subjected to, I took decisive legal action. I filed for divorce and sought alimony from both my husband and the woman he had an affair with. Additionally, I demanded $8,000 from my in-laws, accounting for the financial support I had previously provided. The duplex we renovated was in a prime location, attracting a buyer quickly, a family searching for a two-family home. It sold for about $220,000. From this sale, after covering the $80,000 debt repayment and the $120,000 renovation costs, I netted a gain of $60,000. This, combined with the alimony from my ex-husband and his affair partner, significantly improved my financial situation. Moreover, I received a modest sum of $8,000 from my former in-laws, further offsetting my expenses. Despite the tumultuous events, I ended up in a surprisingly favorable financial position. The experience, while harrowing, taught me a valuable lesson in trust and financial prudence. Having a considerable amount of savings initially helped me immensely. I was investing and learning how to manage my finances effectively to clear my in-laws' debts as swiftly as possible. My investments paid off, growing substantially within a year. Coupled with a recent raise at work, my financial standing allowed me to take bold steps to rectify my situation. In the end, my former in-laws found themselves back where they started, burdened with debt and without a home. As harsh as it may sound, their deceitful acts brought them to this point. This ordeal has been a profound learning experience for me, reinforcing the importance of vigilance and financial literacy. Moving forward, I am committed to continuing my financial growth, enhancing my assets, and ensuring a comfortable future. More importantly, I aim to foster relationships with people I can genuinely trust, hoping to create many happy memories without the shadow of deceit. As for the twist of events, it's a compelling narrative that underscores the importance of standing up for oneself and taking control of one's own destiny. It's a story of empowerment and resilience in the face of betrayal and deceit. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates. See you in the next video.